Well, thank y'all for being with us. I've got 2:02 on my clock, so I think we did good just coming in under the wire, getting everybody on, and I want to thank y'all for being here. Again, I'm Ashley Roberts with the Burke County Chamber of Commerce, and on behalf of the Chamber and the True Citizen, I want to thank y'all for taking the time to be here with us today. We know everybody has a lot on your plate and a lot on your mind with the COVID-19 crisis that we're dealing with in our community and our country, and we appreciate y'all just taking the time to be here with us. Having said that, we also want to just take a minute to continue to be thinking about our first responders, healthcare workers, and everyone that's on the front lines as we fight this crisis during the community and in the state and in our country. So thanks to all of y'all. Also want to thank all of you, our citizens and the businesses, for everything that y'all are doing to get us through these difficult and uncertain days. And having said that, as we deal with that, we still have to remember that we have a lot of other important things going on in our community. And one of those is some very important elections that are coming up. And so that's why we felt like it was important to take a little bit of time today and learn more about the candidates that are running in these races coming up, along with some of the issues that are going to be on the ballot as well. So we appreciate all of the candidates taking the time to be here with us, as well as your willingness to serve our community. Before we start with the candidate forum, we did want to take just a minute to ask Merv Waldrop, our county manager, to discuss the renewal of the T-Splost, which is also on the ballot in the primary election. So I'm going to ask Merv in just a minute to explain a little bit about what that means and what that does for our community. And following him, then we're going to ask Roy Chalker to take over, and he's going to moderate the forum for the candidate portion of our event today. So I will turn it over to Merv, and as Merv finishes, then I'm going to let Roy, you take over from there.
All right. Thank you, Ashley, for this time. On the June 9th ballot, the whole CSRA, all the 13 counties in our region, will be asked to vote on renewal of a 1% sales tax that's dedicated for transportation projects. 75% of the money is for big projects throughout the region. There's a project in every county in the region. And then there's 25% that goes to each of the counties for use for transportation projects. In Burke County, our large projects are Vogel Parkway, which would be a direct connection between Plant Vogel and Waynesboro, using some interconnects with existing roadways, making a more direct connection to Plant Vogel to try to encourage economic development back into Waynesboro and the rest of the county. Another project is replacement of the bridge over Walnut Branch on Haddon Pond Road. It's an older bridge, needs to be replaced. And then the third project is improvements to US 25 near the Walmart shopping center. We've had a number of accidents there, so we've got a safety enhancement project at that location. So those projects are going to be about $32 million when you put all of them together. And then the T-Splost also adds 25% of the total money goes to each county. In Burke County, we use our 25% for resurfacing, which takes care of all our existing paved roads. So we'll be able to resurface every road in the county within 10 years. It also is used for airport improvements and operation of our transit program. So there's a little something for everybody in it. It's important for our community. It's $58 million estimated to come back to Burke County in the next 10 years with the T-Splost. Thank you.
And if they don't presidential, they won't get to answer that question.
Okay, thank you, Merv. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. A few minutes ago, as I was watching and listening to this get set up, I was reminded of a famous novel made into a movie by Gabriel Garcia Marquez called Love in the Time of Cholera. This is politics in the time of COVID. And it's presented us with a lot of challenges and maybe some opportunities that we've never seen before. Some of you have been in politics for a long time, others are newcomers, but it's an interesting time to be trying to get into public service. I'm going to ask all the candidates to introduce themselves, tell us who you are and what office you're running for. And I'm going to start with George Deloach. George, start us off.
Commission seat. I am a local funeral director and owner and operator of Burke Memorial Funeral Home and Burke Memorial Gardens. I've been interested in politics pretty much all my life. My father was involved in city politics, and over the last 40 years, I've developed a lot of relationships in Atlanta, and I feel like I have the experience to get things done when we need it. You want me to tell about my family, Roy?
No, that's good. George, appreciate it.
All
Let's
right.
go on to Art Lively.
Hey, I'm Art Lively. I'm born and raised here in Burke County. I work in the ag business. I'm a location manager for Agri AFC. I've owned a few businesses in town, started them up and sold them. Have a wonderful family also. Kind of last few years have been asked to get involved in politics. I am involved in our community through different organizations, whether it be the chamber or the field trials. Certainly big with the Exchange Club, active in that, and just looking forward to maybe serving the citizens in a different way. I'm running for District 5 County Commissioner. Mr. George certainly I've known him all my life. He's done a good job. Nothing against him. Just think maybe we could use a little different thought process or new blood, maybe, so to speak. So, but that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Art. Let's go on to another incumbent county commissioner, Lucius Abrams.
My name is Lucius Abrams. First, I was raised up on the Abrams Road. Lucius Abrams Sr. and Frances Abrams Williams was my mom. And my dad was a farmer. His dad was a farmer. And from that, I went to school at Waynesboro High, and also I went to Augusta Tech. And from that, Jimmy Dixon was the chairman, and he asked me would I be interested in running after Mr. Woodrow Harvey had passed. And that's how I wound up running for county commission. And I don't want to let the public know that I don't take it lightly for them letting me serve all these years. And from that, I served on the governor's board, who is the Secretary of Agriculture. I served on his board for 8 years. He was the governor. And I also served on the southern region of the United States of America under President Obama. And Ed Tarver, I was on their board of directors. I also had the opportunity to go to Japan and work on a major project with the University of Georgia and also Folk Valley University for the edible soybean. And I worked on that project too. And also, I'm a deacon at the church in Antioch Rock Creek. My wife named Rosa Abrams. And I want to clear it up that Mr. Reed is a personal friend of mine, and his wife is a personal friend of mine. And it's not about the politics. And I'll tell anybody, when I become a politician, I'll walk out. I'm here to help God people. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Lucius. We'll move on now to Lucius's opponent in the primary, Ron Reed.
Thank you. My name is S. Ron Reed, but my friends call me Ron. I'm a Democratic candidate for District 1 Commissioner. I was born in Bessemer, Alabama to the late Reverend and Mrs. S.C. Reed. On August the 16, 1969, I married Adeline Besser, and we have 2 children, 2 adult children, and 6 grandchildren. Prior to moving to Burke County in 1996, we lived in Atlanta, Georgia for 27 years. I retired from Bell South AT&T after 26 years of service. And since retirement, I've worked at several CSRA employers as an accountant, consultant, and chief financial officer, including Ball's Rural Life Center in Keysville. I was educated in the public schools of Bessemer, Alabama, a BBA in accounting from Georgia State University, and a master's degree in accounting from the University of Phoenix. My wife is a graduate of Ball's Academy, Payne College, and Atlanta University. I have no prior political experience. However, my education and work experience with a major corporation and my diverse life experiences have provided me with leadership and managerial knowledge to lead Burke County into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Candidate for District Attorney, Jason Hasty.
All right, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yes, I am Jason Hasty, candidate for District Attorney of the Augusta Judicial Circuit. I want to say thank you to the Chamber and also to the True Citizen for allowing us this opportunity. I'm 54 years old. I've been married for 30 years, and I've been serving in both the public and private sector over those years. I'm a businessman, and I look forward to serving as your district attorney beginning in 2021.
Thank you. And on to the incumbent district attorney, Natalie Payne.
Hey, good afternoon. I appreciate y'all having me. My name is Natalie Payne. I have been in the district attorney's office for going on 12 years. I was appointed in 2017 by Governor Deal when my former boss, Ashley Wright, became a Superior Court judge. And I've had the pleasure of serving for the past 3 years. And I'm very excited about continuing to be your district attorney. So I appreciate the True Citizen for having us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate for State Senate, Trey Allen.
Sorry, I had a little delay there. My name is Trey Allen. I was born in South Augusta and raised on a tree farm in Blythe, in Richmond County. I moved up to Columbia County 20 years ago, and I have been a county commissioner here for 12 years, served 3 terms for the Columbia County Commission. Last 5 years, I've also been a representative for the State Board of Education for the 12th Congressional District. And prior to that, I was appointed by Governor Deal to the Department of Community Affairs, where I worked for 4 years, helping organize funds coming from the federal government and sending them down to rural communities and small towns through things like the Main Street Grant and things like that. I'm married with 2 children, and my son's at Georgia. He's an Air Force cadet, and my daughter is a freshman in high school.
Thank you, Trey. Another candidate for State Senate, Max Burns.
Good afternoon. Again, thank you to the Chamber and to the True Citizen for an opportunity to do a Zoom forum. Thank you. Burns, I live in Scriven County, Georgia. Actually, I'm out in the country on Highway 24, maybe about 40 miles from where most of you are in Waynesboro. I grew up here and got a great education, but then over time I had a chance to get a university degree at both Georgia Tech and Georgia State. Spent most of my career in the university system of Georgia. I was a professor at Georgia Southern for almost 20 years. Then I was dean of the business school at Mike Cottrell College of Business at University of North Georgia, and then I was president at Gordon State College in Middle Georgia, north of Macon in Barnesville. I've had the privilege of serving Burke County. I'm no stranger to Burke County. I represented Burke County United States Congress. I want to thank the voters in Burke County for their support during that time frame. I've had a chance to serve on the CSRA Board of Directors. I served on the Scriven County Board of Commissioners. I was chairman of that Board of Commissioners as well. The biggest thing I will tell you is it has been a privilege to serve my area of the state, my district, the 23rd Senate District of Georgia. And I look forward to having that opportunity in 2021. I've represented 7 of the 11 counties already in the United States Congress, and I look forward to representing the other 4 in the Senate District. Look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. We're going on now to 3 candidates for Burke County Sheriff. We're going to start with Wayne Scott.
Good evening. My name is Wayne Scott. I'm a lifelong resident of Burke County. I'm a veteran of the Army, Air Force, and the Georgia Air National Guard. I served in Desert Storm. In 2017, I flew 41 combat missions against ISIS in the Middle East. I worked at the Sheriff's Office for 20 years as Security Chief of the Jail Division. I have a degree in computer networking, criminal justice, and business. I went to various leadership schools throughout the military, and I'm a lifelong resident of this county. My wife is married, and I have 3 children, grown adult children. One of my daughters currently works at the Sheriff's Office, and I'm looking forward to the sheriff's race and serving the county as I've served my country.
Dwayne. And now to incumbent Sheriff Alfonso Williams.
Can you hear me?
There we go, Sheriff. Good.
Okay. We're there? All right. I didn't see myself. Hey, I'm Alfonso Williams, your current sheriff. I'm looking to be your sheriff for 4 more years. The Bible says that the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. I am he. I am your servant. I have been your servant for the past 3.5 years. We reduced crime in Burke County by 50%. That's both violent and property crimes. We have instituted a number of different programs, community service programs. We have toy drives at Thanksgiving, at Christmas. We have turkey drives at Thanksgiving. We do Easter egg drives. We came in and we formed a vice and narcotics division, a community services division, a crime suppression division, K-9 division, information technology division. We tried to ensure that we had transparency. So every single uniformed officer wears a body camera. There's no question about what's going on. We have been good to this community. This community has been good to us. I've been married for 24 years to Charlita Williams. We have 2 children. I'm excited about getting the opportunity to continue serving you. I want you to know that we're going to be fiscally responsible. We're concerned about and focused on all those things that you are: families, futures, and finances. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheriff. And our last candidate for Sheriff is Xavier Wimberly.
Greetings to each and every one of you all. I certainly appreciate the opportunity, and I thank you for thinking of us to have this Zoom meeting. Pray that we don't get Zoom bombed anymore, though. But I thank the Chamber and I thank the True Citizen for hosting this, putting it on. And I would like to say that I am Xavier Wimberly, and I'm running for Sheriff of Burke County. I am the son of the late Chief Magistrate Judge Sterling Wimberly and Fannie Farmer Wimberly. I'm married to Glenda McBride Wimberly, and I'm actually here in Burke County, being here, born and raised, and I came to try to take Burke County to the next level of bonding and unity among everyone. I've heard in several statements that we have gang issues, gang problems, but I think there are people problems all over. And if with unity, we can make a difference. We can get into the communities and bring everyone together as one voice, one sound. It's where you teach one, you reach one, you teach one. And that's our motto, and that's what we're looking for with new leadership, new vision.
All right, thank you, Xavier.
If I could jump in while we're waiting, I just wanted to say to our viewers out there that we appreciate you being here with us, and wanted to let you know that we are aware there are other candidates that are up for election in the primary, but many other races are not contested. So we made the decision, because of the logistical nature of trying to fit everybody on a Zoom meeting, that we would only include the candidates for this particular forum that were in contested races for the primary. We certainly plan to do another event in the fall before the general election that will include the candidates that will be up for election in November. Our hope is that that event might be able to be in person and not have to deal with the technical, logistical challenges of doing it through the Zoom. But we will wait and see at that time. But just wanted to let everybody know we weren't trying to exclude anybody by any means, but just due to the nature of the logistics, we did want to focus on those races that would have a decision-making impact after the primary. So wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
George, the economy's taken a big hit because of this epidemic, and nobody knows what kind of shape it's going to be in when we come out of it. Locally, Burke County has been hit with some pretty bad news over the last few years with shutdowns of manufacturing facilities. What do you think the county commission and you specifically can do to help with economic development in the foreseeable future?
Boy, I feel like we could reach out and join in with Richmond County. You know, they have a industrial park just north of McBean, which is probably 2 miles from Burke County. And I heard the report the other day that the economic developer said that he had 20 real good prospects that were looking at that site and would probably move there if they could get rail into the park. They do not have rail service. And I think we could, all of us, call in our congressman and our governor and help with getting that rail into the industrial park there in South Augusta would really benefit Richmond County and Burke County. And as you know, we're going to be needing a lot of jobs when Plant Vogel is completed in a couple of years. And, fortunately, we just sold the spec building to the Hart Dairy Company, which is going to make dairy products for sale and marketing. But I think we need to really concentrate on producing more jobs for the people in Burke County, like I say, when Plant Vogel is built.
All right, thank you, George. Art Lively, you're a candidate for county commissioner. Have you said in some of your statements that it's time for a new perspective on the board of county commissioners? Specifically, what kind of changes would you like to see in your district and as well as the county as a whole?
I don't know that I have a necessary District 5 focus as far as what has led me to run for commissioner. I mean, I'm certainly there are things there that probably could be tightened up on, but it kind of flows into what Mr. George was saying. I think we need to be more active, certainly more helpful with our Industrial Development Authority and the lead person in that role. I think it's a pretty big deal maybe to show support for whatever industry may be coming this way. I know from past experience, it was obviously not as large as what we would like, but it can be difficult to start a business here sometimes. I think it should be maybe more of a level playing field, but again, I think the community, the commissioners, we all should just play a bigger role as far as meeting with these businesses or whether it be going out and even showcasing some of our current businesses in our county. But again, I guess my focus would be, as the industrial development side, was to try and help more and all of us get together doing the same team.
Art, you have opened up some businesses here locally. What do you specifically have you run into for challenges? Has it been city or county or both, or building codes, or what kind of challenges have you faced in opening a new business?
Well, I guess the first thing that kind of got under our skin was it wasn't a level playing field. And I think that the rules that apply should apply the same way to everyone. And again, that's over in water under the bridge, but we did meet some opposition, but a lot of it was, I mean, as you know, we tried to start a car lot where a car lot had been, and that was actually right before zoning was implemented. But there had been several variances allowed for the same types of business in the same types of areas, but we ended up having to hire attorneys. And it just cost a lot of money that was really, we felt, unnecessary. And I don't, again, I mean, that's not an issue anymore, but I do, even now, calling and doing things with certain branches of our government, it's not treated the citizens of this community, I don't feel like are treated like I would treat a customer. And that's what we are as taxpayers, I think. Whether it be, courteous on the telephone or helpful when asking for direction. I just think, again, goes back to maybe teamwork. I didn't mean to use that phrase, but it's like we're all going in different directions. I think it needs to be treated a little bit more like a private business where we all have certain expectations of how we're treated in the service we get. Right. I know that Burke County is ag, and we want to protect that. But if someone wants to come build, say, an apartment complex upscale, I don't think that should be a terrible hurdle to take 15 to 20 acres out of agriculture to make that nice little place.
I understand. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to move on to Lucius Abrams.
Yes, sir.
Incumbent county commissioner and candidate for re-election. Lucius, what is the biggest problem that the citizens in your district face, and what ways have you advocated for them?
Roy, let me get, after all this rain I had here the last couple of weeks, I have inherited more dirt roads than anybody in the United States of America. And that's one of the biggest issues that I need, that I'm faced with. There's a lot of dirt roads.
Transportation.
Yeah, and it costs tremendous amount of money per mile to pave a road. And we've been paving them. We've been doing the best we can. And then also, even after we get to the point where we select a road to pave, it'd be from 4 to 5 years going through condemnation. And before I came a commissioner, I thought you had to do condemnation and snap your finger, and it's done. But it don't happen that way. And a lot of citizens don't understand that even after you put the road and select the road to pave it, time you go through all the red tape and the politics of it for us trying to get all the right-of-ways, because we can't go and just pave a road and we don't have the right-of-way and go through the proper procedures. But that's one of the biggest things I've been faced with. But other than that, I'm a go-to person. I'm a friendly person, and I'm not just only just because I'm not here for no figurehead. I'm not here for no pride. I'm not here for, like I say, for being Mr. Big Stuff, even though I'm a big man. I'm here to help people, kind of like we had the tornado came through the other a couple of weeks ago. I was out there with those people, getting Red Cross, getting all the agency in to help them, because some of them lose their homes and everything. And not only that, some of them, their roofs and stuff was tore off. And Bo in the Methodist Church, they came down and we put torch on the people's houses so that they couldn't, so they wouldn't lose, whatever property they did have left in their homes. We even protected those too, Roy. I'm like I said, I'm just a go-to person, and I'm here to help and serve.
Thank you, Lucius. Ron Reed, your specialty is finance, and you've been a little critical some time or two about the budgeting process the county commission has. What would you do specifically to make that process smoother and easier for the public to understand?
Thank you, Roy, and I appreciate this opportunity to deal with the finance. However, my main issue right now is that we as the county should become accountable for all of the revenue that has been approved and look at the expenditures that are going against that revenue that the county should control. I'm saying to put methods and procedures in place to control that spending. For instance, we need to set budgets to allocate all of the revenue instead of spending the revenue. We need to learn how to operate more efficiently. Set up reserves for future development to enhance the county appearance and growth. Now, going a step further, there is a need for the commission to work with the chamber to sell the county. We talk about what's happening in Columbia County, what's happening in Aiken, but those commissions in those counties are going out helping the chamber sell their county. We need commissioners that's not afraid to be visionaries and to go out and sell Burke County. Burke County is one of the, you could say, best counties in the CSRA to request and receive favorable consideration for business to relocate to the area. Buildings already up and acceptable to required modifications for use by the occupant. Land is available for development by the hotel industry and other commercial outlets. Easy access to several metropolitan areas, for instance, Athens, Augusta, Macon, Savannah, and Statesboro. Easy access to the Augusta Regional Airport, as well as airfields in the local area. Augusta Tech will assist the incoming company to train employees. If we take that action and get commissioners more involved with the chamber to sell the county, we can generate more industry to come to town. Unemployment will go down. Tax revenue will go up. We can't solely sit around and wait to Plant Boga depreciate all of their buildings, because they're going to eventually leave us, and it's going to be the taxpayer burden to finance the county. We need to learn how to spend the money that we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Move on to the district attorney's race again. Jason Hasty, tell us why you feel qualified to be district attorney and what qualities you have that would make you a good district attorney.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I believe that the incumbent is overwhelmed. If we don't count the year 2020, because we're all overwhelmed. There's been a lot of things going on, and let's don't count the first year that she was in office. She was appointed in 2017. So I'm focusing on 2 years that we watched and observed and learned from 2018 through 2019. Over those 2 years, the incumbent asked for and received approximately $1,500,000 increase in budget from the 3 counties, Burke County, Columbia County, and Richmond County. Now, of course, in Burke County, Burke probably represents maybe 10% of what we do. Columbia County, maybe about 30%. And Richmond County is where the heavy lifting is going on. That's where the large number of cases. When the incumbent took office, there were approximately 2,700 open cases. The incumbent asked for extra money, received it, and despite a $1,500,000 increase in budget, fell behind by an extra 1,000 cases, so that by the end of 2019, there were approximately, based on open records requests from Richmond County alone, there were approximately 3,700 open cases. So I just believe the incumbent is overwhelmed. Also, we need a district attorney that follows the law, and apparently that just doesn't always happen with the incumbent. Talking to defendants who are represented by lawyers, that's at the heart of our constitutional right to representation. That's an issue that it has to be understood that district attorney and no one is above the law. Justice for all, that's my motto. I have some ideas for Burke. I have some ideas for Columbia County, and I have some ideas for Richmond County. I'm a businessman. I've practiced law for 30 years. I've raised 2 sons with my wife of 30 years, Misty. Jaron is 25. He graduated from Kennesaw State University, and Dawson is 20, and he's a rising senior there. I'm a businessman. I'm a family man, and also the district attorney. Character does matter, and I'm endorsed by the Georgia Right to Life. I'm very happy about that. That's something I don't know if they've ever endorsed a district attorney candidate or not. I'm very, very happy about that endorsement because character does matter. So that's why I'm running.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Natalie, I had a question for you, but I think I'll let you respond to your opponent.
Well, I think that the case numbers are very ambiguous in our circuit. It's something that one of the reasons that I implemented Tracker, which was a statewide data service system provided by the state of Georgia that only prosecutors have access to. The numbers that Mr. Hasty is using are grossly inflated, as well as the budget. But I would also state that, you know, we are constantly trying to evolve and make our office run smoother. One of the things and one of the constant battles that we do face is a lack of the state funding for prosecutors and guaranteed raises. We've had over the last 10 years throughout the state, there's been a mass exodus of prosecutors from that particular profession. But in addition to that, you know, our circuit has experienced tremendous growth with the number of court appearances that we have. I mean, as y'all well know, we just had a big, beautiful courthouse open up in Burke County, which expanded the ability to have court. I actually ran the numbers 2 years ago, right before we implemented Tracker, excuse me. And I'm not sure what's happening there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. So when our court system changed from 5 judges to 8 judges, and when we also moved from 2 courtrooms in Richmond County to 8, as well as the Burke County expansion, essentially our caseload, or excuse me, our court responsibilities have doubled as to what they used to be. But despite that, our closure rate is still exactly on track with where it was prior to when I took over. And you know, I've done many other things that I don't think Mr. Hasty quite understands the way that our circuit operates and the way that the budget is structured, as well as the different personnel issues that go on within our office. So, you know, I think we've done made a lot of substantial improvements. I mean, Tracker was a major undertaking, and that was one of the first priorities that I did or that I took on when I took office. But for Tracker, during this COVID outbreak, our office would have essentially had to shut down. A lot of what I am trying to do is get our office caught up with technology and with the state of technology as it is today. And it's not, you know, you can't move a battleship overnight. It's a very slow and methodical process. And, you know, certainly I intend to keep moving that ship.
How are you using technology to in prosecuting cases? Are you doing remote interviews or hearings with the defendants in another location? Are you utilizing?
Right. Yes. Right now, what we're doing, before I took over, we had 8 laptops in our office. We have 25 attorneys. We have 8 different teams of people, but basically all of our, you know, we're trying to move from a paper system to a digital system. So now basically every case file that comes in gets scanned in, and you can access, one of the prosecutors can access that file 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year from their phone even. But we also purchased Surface Pro laptops to be able to do all, you know, to be able to, for people to be able to function and use this database. But along with that, during this entire pandemic, we have also enabled our employees through the use of those Surface Pros to conduct hearings, to do remote sentencings, to where we've actually got you know, the judges holding court basically in a setting like this. And we use WebEx to do that. But you know, again, if we had not made those advancements and tried to secure that technology, none of that would have been possible.
Thank you, Natalie. Trey Allen, candidate for state senate. Tell me what committees you would like to be on if you're elected to the state senate.
Thank you very much, Ray. I appreciate that. Well, I'd like to be serving on education. My 5 years experience on the State Board of Education as the 12th Congressional District Rep has certainly put me in touch with the 181 local school districts in the state. And I want to keep moving forward with all the work that we've done under Governor Deal and currently under Governor Kemp, the Georgia Education Department, the advances we made. My background is business consulting. I have a small business management degree from the University of Georgia, staffing and risk management. So I also look into insurance, and I'd also like to be on the appropriations if possible. I think that my experience working on multiple budgets, whether it's the the $70 million budget here in Columbia County I've worked on over the last 12 years, whether it's the $14 billion education budget with the State Board of Education, as well as my own businesses. I've been a business owner my entire life. I've met payrolls every week. Ever since I started working for my daddy when I was 5 years old, I've worked in a family business or owned my own business. So I know how to do that, and I'm good with budgets. So those would probably be my top choices.
Thank you. Max Burns, you pointed out a long career in public service and public office. I'd like to get your perspective on how you're going, how this epidemic environment is going to affect the way you're able to campaign during this time. And I'd also like to hear maybe your opinion on why voter turnout has gone down so much. We've had elections here in Burke County, competitive elections, where maybe 15 or 16% of the voters turn out. What do you think is causing this kind of activity among the electorate?
Well, thank you, Roy. You know, things have changed dramatically. A Zoom forum is a great example. It points to the rural broadband need that we have across our district and across our state. My undergraduate degree is in engineering. My graduate degree is in computer information management. And at the heart of infrastructure and technology is going to be broadband. But campaigns have changed, but businesses have changed. It's not just about us getting together today to discuss issues that relate to the 23rd district and that relate to Burke County, but every business we have relies on the technology. So your business has changed and my business has changed. So you're looking at a different world. This is going to become the normal. I'll be candid and tell you, you know, new normal sometimes is a bit of an oxymoron. It's a little bit more like the new unnormal, but we'll have to figure out how to become comfortable with this new world we're living in. You know, voter apathy has always been a challenge. We've always had the challenge of trying to encourage people to go to the polls and to vote for candidates of their choice. You know, my point has always been, I want you to register to vote. I want you to become an informed voter. And then I want you to exercise your constitutional right to vote. This election cycle is so different than anyone I've ever been through. And it's indicative of the COVID-19 virus. We have a healthcare crisis and an economic crisis. And we've got to be able to deal with both of them. And we have to deal with them probably sequentially. We've got to deal with the healthcare first, and then we can address the economic crisis. But what you're seeing right now, the voters are using the absentee option, and many of them are choosing to take that route as opposed to a traditional voting option. My prediction is we're going to see record turnouts in every election on June the 9th, both on both party sides. So I think that's a good thing. I will say, you know, I spent 30 years in education, and I've taught in the classroom, and I've been a president of a college. And I appreciate service on boards, but sooner or later you got to get in the classroom.
How do you reach the voters? If you can't knock on their doors, shake hands, there are no telephone books anymore. You can't call them on the phone.
Right. Everyone's on a cell phone. Everyone has their private number on a cell phone. They're very difficult to connect sometimes. Social media has become a major player in this. Certainly, the traditional email and phone messaging and contacts. I spend my day in front of a computer screen, like many of you do, trying to connect with people. Or I'm on the phone and I'm talking with groups. I have multiple Zoom meetings every week, and so this is not new to me. I've done it for a while, and this is becoming the world we live in. We have to embrace it.
All right. Thank you, Max. Moving on to the sheriff's race, Wayne Scott, tell us about your experiences in the past that will make you a good sheriff for Burke County.
Well, I worked at the sheriff's office under the jail division for 20 years. And jail recidivism is important. We must find ways to reduce jail recidivism, have effective programs to help individuals with GEDs, and also help them with employment. And that's a big factor in reducing our crime. If you can keep people from returning to jail, you'll keep your crime down. And that's important. And some of the things I want to focus on is spending. When you have a 60% increase with the new sheriff, a 60% increase in our tax spending. And Mr. Reed hit the nail on the head when he said, if we keep spending unnecessarily, your taxes will be raised because of the 30 Plant Vogel, the devaluation of their buildings. And when you're spending money on a $30,000 drone, when you're spending money on a almost $6,000 for 2 police bicycles, that's an example of unnecessary spending. And I want to make sure we don't waste taxpayers' dollars, because if we continue down this path, your tax is going to be raised. That's no doubt. And we most focus on keeping crime down, but also be effective in spending. You can't just waste the taxpayers' dollars on unnecessary things, such as $100,000 on a crime suppression / SWAT team just in incentive pay. That's a lot of money. And we can increase the patrol division without having this unnecessary incentive pay going out to these deputies. And that's some of the things I would work on.
All right. Thank you. I'm gonna let Xavier Wimberly answer this next question, and I'm gonna let the sheriff respond to both his opponents' answers. Xavier, tell us about your experiences and how that makes you prepared to be the sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chalker. I would say my experiences started, I don't want to be cliche and say when I was born, but I will say in 1990, I joined the United States Marine Corps in August at Parris Island, South Carolina. And I went through some intense training there for 13 weeks. From Parris Island, I went over to Camp Lejeune, really at Camp Geiger. And we went through infantry training. And my career started with the Marine Corps. And some of the duties and jobs I had was defending our country, and that requires, in my opinion, taking care of the county. I can strategically look around and see what's required and what we should do to assist and take care of this county. From the military experience, which I've been a military police, I've been over administration, payroll, recruiting, done several duties and jobs within the military. But now I'm with my college experience, criminal justice. I have criminal justice administration. I also have a degree and learned about the strategic planning, how to run and manage organizations within the criminal justice arena. Now, after that, I've gone to the CSRA Police Academy. Did that in 2009, and I got involved in law enforcement. And I've done that for some years, and currently I'm in law enforcement. And I just feel that with my experiences in leadership as a senior NCO in the military, dealing with young men and women in deployment as a retention NCO, that I can relate to the individuals. I can cut back on our turnover rate because of my experiences. Instead of having officers or deputies to go out and do more of enforcing laws, let's go out and talk to individuals. Let's spend time, get outside of our patrol cars, out of our units. And I think that's a learning that I've inhabited, that I picked up because of my experiences in the military.
Thank you, Xavier. Got to move on to the sheriff. Sheriff, I want to give you a chance to respond to the criticisms Mr. Scott pointed out, and anything else you'd like to say. We're going to have one more question after this, but it's got to be a lightning round. We're going to make them very brief. But Sheriff, I want you to go ahead and respond to Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chalker. I want to thank both of my opponents for their military service. We're very proud of those folks who serve on the front lines to keep us safe and keep us well so that we can sleep with our families at night. In regards to, and I promise not to talk negative about either of my opponents, so I'm going to say this very carefully. I learned in a leadership class once, Mr. Chalker, that there is nothing to be learned from the second kick of a mule. We were kicked for 36 years because we had inadequate training, inadequate technology, inadequate police services, inadequate resources, and we were ill prepared. And this county had been taken over by drug dealers and thieves. And I will not, elected or not, if I will not stand for it. I'm not going to have you taking things that don't belong to you. I am not going to have our families addicted to drugs because drug dealers are taking over. I will not have us continue to have gang problems. I will not bury my head in the sand and pretend we don't have gang issues. We had 4 murders last year, 4. That's too many for this county. We only have 22,000 people in Burke County. And when you have 4 persons killed, all involved drugs and or gangs, young black males killed, and many of them are not killed. They're shot but not killed because we've got a wonderful medical facility 30 miles up the road. So thank God we've got a medical school in our background. But it will not happen. Yes, we have a $30,000 drone. Taxpayers did not pay for a single dime. It came out of drug funds. And I don't know where he got the information because it was supposed to be private, because we're using it to watch drug dealers. And I had better not find out as sheriff that that information came from somebody who was not authorized to give it. Because the person who knew that it was purchased knew what it was purchased for and knew that he was not supposed to share the information. And I am mad as hell about it. Secondly, those other expenditures he talked about, most of it was with drug funds, drug seizures. We are going after them. We are taking their money. We are taking their cars. We are taking their property. They will not rule the day. I will not be kicked by that mule. Secondly, Xavier worked with me for 3 years in Augusta. He was fired from Richmond County. He was fired from Burke County. He was he's not welcome back at 3 of his last agencies. He is currently under post probation. His certification status is on probation. He just got it this year. Neither of my opponents would be eligible to work at the Burke County Sheriff's Office if they applied tomorrow. So I don't want to spend all my time talking about what they had to say. What I want to tell you is that we have 835 square miles. Has our budget increased? You bet. Have we created a vice and narcotics division? Yes. Community services? Yes. Are we involved in our community every single day? We're the only sheriff's office you know within 100 miles that spend as much time investing in our community as we do. We are setting the standard. There's no longer an embarrassment when you go to different parts of Georgia. When you hear the term Burke County, they hear service. People want to know 2 things from us. Can they trust us? And can they trust our product? And I submit to you that they can trust us and they can trust our product. Our product is service, accountability, fiscal responsibility. And let me tell you, we've got 6 different budgets we manage. And at the end of the day, we're coming in under budget. Now, they can play with the figures any way they want to play with them, but I submit to you that out of all the money we get, and I don't care when we get it, when they pay us back, when they decide to send an invoice, we take a total dollar amount and we come in at or under that dollar amount in the last 3.5 years. I served as director of the school public safety in Augusta 4 years, and we never went over budget. There's all this question about this, what do we do and what do we spend? It's our job to be responsible for public health as well as public safety. We're going to get the job done. Do we have a special response team? You bet. In the last 3 months, we have spent 2 incidences over in Jenkins County helping our neighbors with very serious incidences, and we've spent 1 in Jefferson County. We have used that same team in Burke County 20 times in the last 3.5 years. Crime is cut 50% because of all those decisions. We can't police in 2020 the way we did in 1980, 1990, 2010, or 2015. We are ready. We are prepared. We require 3 times the training the state requires. We're getting the job done. Our DA is on the television with us today, and she'll tell you that our cases receive 90% clearance. That's unheard of. We're here to serve. We're going to serve. We're not going to be afraid of thieves and drug dealers, and they will not take over Burke County. Lastly, and I'll be done, we're going to protect families, futures, and finances. I need Democrats and Republicans. I need the Republicans to pull the Democratic ballot for June 9 and reelect me as your sheriff. Let's not be kicked the second time by the mule. Thank you.
Okay. If we've got time, and I'm going to ask Ashley to advise me on this, we could do a 30-second round for each candidate. Ashley, what do you think we can do? Do we have time?
I think we do, as long as we can be kind of quick.
Okay. 30 seconds, and the moderator has my permission to cut them off if they talk too long. George, what single thing are you most proud of during your long career in public service? George DeLoach.
Roy, I guess getting involved in keeping our hospital open and operating. I can't think of anything more important to a rural community than its hospital. Education is next, I think, and then jobs. But we were able to work with the hospital authority. You've been on the authority before and know the problems that it has. And I was happy to see that there has been legislation talked about in Congress and on the state level to help rural hospitals. So I'd be interested in keeping our hospital open and operating.
Thank you, George. Art, your experience in business, how's that going to help you as county commissioner?
Well, just a small piece of what I do every month. I have probably a 75 line item, 3 or 4 pages of a budget that if I go over, we set that budget in May for our following year that starts in September. And if we go over one line item, we need to be responsible and we have to come up with a reason of why we did that. So financially, we set a budget and we have to stick to it. And I think that's a pretty big deal. I know there's a lot of different aspects of that will be, whether it be like the sheriff mentioned, his budget going over or the county as a whole. So I think that'll help being able to budget and stay on track.
Thank you, Art. Lucius, this morning I went on my paper route. I covered the southern part and the western part of the county, taking newspapers to the post offices and different convenience stores on that side of the county. Everywhere I go, I see overloaded dumpsters, and that's been a problem for a long time. What can we do to combat this dumpster situation where we got trash going out all over the ground?
Roy, you would gave me a great question.
I was waiting for it.
We exploring some ideas, Roy, on what can we do to help clean up the trash situation that we've been faced with. We even had the opportunity to go to some other communities, the Board of Commissioners and I, to even look at maybe setting up stations across the county, you know, with roll-offs and have certain items put into those dumps and somebody manage them. But that's an issue, Roy, that it's really gonna take some exploring for us to do.
And y'all are working on that.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Lucius. Ron, you've been a little bit critical of the way the commission has been running. What do you think they're doing right? Ron Reed.
I think they are doing right. They are all collecting.
You got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds. You only got to come up with one thing.
They all are collecting a welfare check because they're not doing anything. The majority of the comments came up today. They were talking about finance and being treated justly. I look at Art Lively, who is a Republican, saying things are not treated the same way across the whole board. And that's what I want to see done in the commission. They need to have methods and procedures in place that everything is according to the book.
Okay.
And if they violate them, they don't. But may I look at the dumpster 1 second? The dumpster, illegal dumping it is not the problem. It's the citizen in the county that we should look at because they do the dumpsters as a ride-through. They just throw trash out of their car on the ground. And we need to control that.
Thank you, Ron. District Attorney candidate Jason Hasty, why do you want to be a prosecutor instead of, say, a defense lawyer?
Because for 30 years, I have protected the rights of those accused. The Constitution was written with a general idea of distrust of the government. And I don't say that in any negative way, but you know, when the incumbent is talking to defendants and not following the law herself, you know, we've got to take action. We've got to step up. I want to step up and make sure that the Constitution applies to everyone, justice for all. I've served in both the public and private sector. I'm Jason Hasty. I'm ready to serve. I'm willing to serve, and I'm able to serve. Thank you.
Natalie Payne, District Attorney. Crime has gone down during this pandemic. What do you think causes that? And based on your experience in 12 years in prosecution, what are the changes you've seen in the criminal justice system?
That's a lot for 30 seconds.
I know. I might give you 45 seconds.
Okay. So I think that the pandemic has caused, obviously, everybody to be at home. So you've got a lot of property crimes that are going to go down just because of that. I think there's also a lot of fear that kind of quells people from associating with other people. And obviously, the less human interaction that they have, the less opportunity there would be for violent crime per se. The biggest changes I think that I've seen in my career has been kind of the morphing of the criminal element. We have a lot more organized street gangs in our area than we used to 10 years ago. I mean, that was almost unheard of 10 years ago. And I think that just the depravity in the criminal element alone, you know, I tend to see that our criminals are becoming younger and younger, and they literally have no grasp on, you know, what they're doing. And I think that's probably the thing that strikes me the most.
All right. Thank you, Natalie. Quick question for Trey Allen and Max Burns. I'm going to ask you both the same question. The state representative from Burke County is Gloria Frazier, a Democrat. One of the sad things that I've watched in my several decades of observing politics is the lack of cooperation now between Democrats and Republicans. How will you overcome that if you're elected to the state Senate? And can you work with your Democratic colleagues? Start off with Trey Allen.
Thank you. Absolutely. That's one of the greatest issues we're facing is the diversion of the parties seem to leave no room for anyone to meet in the middle. I actually have an alternative dispute resolution background. I'm a mediator and an arbitrator. I believe in compromise. I believe in finding middle ground. We need to overcome our differences and realize that we all have so much more in common, not just politically, but across our county lines. you've heard mentions today of working together with the, they mentioned working with the Richmond County on the economic side of things. T-SPLOST is a perfect example of a regional approach to things. The rural broadband and rural healthcare programs that I have in mind that would work like interstate systems that would connect everyone. We have to stop thinking in our silos, whether it's political, whether it is regional, geographical. We have to start working together, and hopefully we'll come out of this epidemic stronger and smarter, and we'll be able to do that.
All right. Thank you. Max, you've been around long enough to remember when you could reach across the aisle and work with your Democratic colleagues. How are you going to be able to do that in Atlanta?
Absolutely. You know, I think it's a partnership. I have a track record of working across party lines. I have good friends in both camps, so to speak. I was co-chair of the Education Caucus, the United States House. My colleague from New York was the other co-chair. I had a chance to serve as president of the freshman class of Republicans, and I worked with the president of the freshman class of Democrats. I worked on a county commission that had both Republicans and Democrats. My opponent's never faced a Democrat. My opponent has never been on a commission that had a single Democratic representative. So you have to be able to work with people. It's really about representation. It's really about relationships. It's really about knowledge and experience. And so I believe I bring that to the table, and I look forward to working with both my Republican colleagues and my Democratic colleagues in the Georgia State Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Wayne Scott, 30 seconds. What's the first change you're going to make when you're elected sheriff?
The first change I'm going to make is reducing the spending. That's the biggest thing we need in this county. A lot of citizens talk about it, and that's one of the first things I'm going to take care of. And to clear something up, that $30,000 drone is in black and white in the county budget. I requested the budget is in black and white. So nobody at his department told me nothing about a drone. So he can be mad as hell for nothing.
All right. Thank you, Wayne. Xavier, tell me one thing you think the incumbent sheriff is doing right.
I think he's doing right is just being the sheriff. He's spending money. He's being the sheriff. I guess he's being right by talking about a sheriff that's been in the office for 36 years. He's basically saying Greg Corsi did nothing. If sheriff didn't do nothing for 36 years, why would we continue to re-elect him?
Exactly.
So I'm not sure why, when you say, what is he doing? He's going around spending our money. That's what he's doing correct. In 3 years, 4 months, the current sheriff has been through 3 vehicles. Expedition, 2 F-250s. I guess that's what's good, Mr. Chalker. And I guess what was good is him telling individuals that he said Xavier was terminated 3 times from jobs. But Xavier was never employed with Burke County, so I don't know how I wasn't terminated there. I wasn't terminated from Richmond County Board. I left there supposedly to come to Burke County. I wasn't, it was a mishap with Richmond County because they ended up taking care of me because of a mishap. But I'll say this in closing so we can go. Okay. I'm gonna just say, if I've been terminated, if I've been all of this, that means I can relate to the people better because we all of us have fallen short of the glory of God. All of us have done wrong, and I'm thankful for that.
Thank you, Xavier. Sheriff, you've in your campaign, you've been emphasizing the importance of the sheriff's race compared to some of the Republican contests around the county that might drain voters away from the sheriff's race. Why do you believe the sheriff's race is more important than, say, the county commission race, where you have Republicans running against each other?
Thank you, Roy. I certainly anticipated the question. It's very simple. My cell phone number is 706-589-1163. I promised 3.5 years ago that I wouldn't change it. I didn't change it. I answer it every day. I return all my own phone calls. I am accessible. You're not going to find most others giving you their personal cell phone number. Accessibility is what it's all about. I'm there for the people. I am here to serve vicariously. I get a decent salary and a nice truck to drive. I want to let you drive. I want to be allowed to drive it 4 more years. We are 90% where we need to be. We only have 10% to go. So if you're concerned about spending, we're 90% there. We're just 10% and we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I want to thank all the candidates. I think y'all have all done a good job today. We've been responsive. You've answered the question. We haven't seen anybody trying to dodge the issues. And I think this has been a very successful event. I want to thank the Chamber and Ashley in particular for letting the True Citizen be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. And I want to thank you because you had the hard part doing the moderating of the questions. I just sat back and listened. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate Diana helping us with lining up the candidates to be here with us. And again, I want to just reiterate that I appreciate the candidates taking the time to be here with us today, as well as your service and your willingness to serve again. Also, want to thank Bo Blanchard, who's in the other room. He's one of the Chamber board members who's had the really difficult task of managing the technical side of today. And I want to apologize for the Zoom bombers. That's something we've heard about. I've had several Zoom meetings over the past few weeks, and we have not experienced that, unfortunately. I guess it's just part of the things that we're dealing with today. We just took the risk of not having a private passcode for the meeting because we wanted it to be inclusive and open to anybody that wanted to participate and listen. So that's just a risk that we take. Again, we certainly apologize, and I appreciate Bo being in the other room killing the Zoom bomber as soon as it came up as fast as we could. So, but other than that, I think it was a great meeting. I appreciate all the information. Again, all of the willingness to answer the questions and be here and face this head on. So I want to thank you all, and hopefully we'll get to do this again in the fall, but maybe in person then and not have to do it virtually. Again, thank you all for being here, and guess we stand adjourned. Thank you.